Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are so.
A big baseball weekend is set to start here at SunTrust Park. The weather is clearing. Should be a beautiful but chilly night as the Braves welcome the St. Louis Cardinals and Lance Lynn as they make their lone visit here in Atlanta in 2017. Hi again, friends. Chip and Joe, welcome back to the ballpark. I think it's safe to say, buddy, that both the Braves and Cardinals are sick and tired of this wet, gloomy weather. Hopefully we'll have a great weekend. Hopefully the good pitching for the Braves will continue to shine, because against this Cardinal team, that's a must for the Braves.
Yeah, it's a setup. Pretty good setup for Atlanta with the three guys that are going in this series, beginning with Mike Foltynewicz tonight, who, as I said, in Milwaukee has to be the best 0-3 pitcher in the National League. His last three starts, a 1.80 ERA. Julio Teheran, good numbers against the Central Division in his career. And R.A. Dickey's last four starts, excellent, going 3-1. But likewise, the St. Louis Cardinals have some horses going as well. They will not be denied. They've won 10 of their last 10 of their last 15 ball games. One thing to note tonight, though, the tarp was on the field all afternoon. Cardinals haven't taken a ground ball on this field. They haven't taken a fly ball. They don't know how it plays.
And they had 3 rainouts on what was supposed to be a 10-game homestand. So maybe the Redbirds come to town rusty as they'll take on Mike Foltynewicz and the Braves in Game 1 next.
Academy Sports and Outdoors. For all, for less.
Franchises with a great rivalry tangle for the first time in 2017. It's the Braves hosting the St. Louis Cardinals. Blue sky overhead. Hopefully, Joe, that's an omen for tonight's Braves starter, Mike Foltynewicz, who could use some good luck.
Boy, he sure could. Mike's numbers on the year look ugly, the 0-3, but his ERA is excellent, 2.81. A lot of strikeouts. He's cut down on the walks. In fact, his last start against Milwaukee, 6 innings, no walks, 6 strikeouts. his 4 keys to pitching success tonight for the 25-year-old out of Minooka, Illinois, is just what you said, Chip. Better luck. He's got to have some better luck. Defense let him down in Milwaukee. And this St. Louis team is a good group of fastball hitters, all of them. So he's going to have to use his and hopefully be effective with his changeup and breaking ball tonight to offset some of that good hitting.
It was as good as it could be in the first 3 innings last time out against the Brewers.
Agreed.
Here's the lineup for St. Louis. It's a lineup that won't have Dexter Fowler, and it won't have Stephen Piscotty. He's hurt. So is Dexter Fowler, who might be able to pinch hit tonight. Colton Wong leads off. He's got a 9-game hitting streak. Matt Carpenter, 10 RBIs in his last 7 games as their first baseman. You know all about Yadier Molina, Randall Grichuk, and Tommy Pham just called up from AAA Memphis because Piscotty went to the DL with a hamstring suffered in the game yesterday against Milwaukee. You made an excellent point. Cardinals didn't take BP today in Atlanta. The Braves didn't because the tarp was on the field until about a half hour ago. And Joe, St. Louis had 3 rainouts on their homestand. Not what Mike Matheny wanted to see happen.
It'd be different if they were going into a ballpark they already know. But they know nothing about SunTrust Park. They know nothing about how the ball plays off the right field wall, how fast the infield is. Advantage Atlanta.
So Fultonevich turns it loose and we're underway. That's outside. 52 degrees at first pitch. A chilly night in Atlanta as Colton Wong leads off and pops one back toward us for an even count. Colton Wong hitting .303 for the year. 1 homer, 12 RBIs, an on-base percentage of nearly 40%. So he's done an excellent job leading off games for the Cardinals. And there's the secondary stuff. A pretty pitch.
Well, he spoke out during spring training saying he did not want to be platoon. It really drew the ire of his manager and general manager. But I tell you what, he's backed it up and he's playing against lefties and righties now.
That sprayed foul, and Wong stays alive. Very impressive numbers for the Cardinals. Not surprisingly, Joe, as he goes, so goes the St. Louis team.
Well, and they got Dexter Fowler too, who's been leading off a lot, and those 2 guys at the top of the order have done a great job for him.
Down and in, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cardinals start play at 13-14 for the year. The Cubs were beaten by the Yankees today. So at the moment, St. Louis is 2 games out of first in their division. Popped him up. Adonis Garcia at third. Dansby Swanson calls him off and makes the play for the first out. Excellent start for Fultonevich. Here's Jose Martinez.
It's like the wind's blowing across and a little bit in from right field.
Martinez, a nice story. Over 880 minor league games before he got a call to the major leagues last September. He led the Cardinals in hits and RBIs this spring, made the opening day roster, and getting a chance to play tonight because of injury.
He's a great story because he was in the Royals organization and 2 years ago won the batting championship in the PCL, and the Royals didn't call him up in September. I thought that was odd.
Rifled toward left. That's over Kemp's head, and that's going to one hop right off the middle of the wall. And Martinez on his way to second with a sliding double. He hit a missile, and that's the first Cardinal hit.
He has hit at every level. He's hit every year in the minor leagues. So when the Royals designated him for assignment last year, the Cardinals were quick to pick him up and send him to AAA, and then called up late in the year by St. Louis in September, and he swung the bat well then too.
Did you know he was a Braves farmhand for a year?
I did not know
Played
that.
at Mississippi for a year in 2013, and he's aboard for Matt Carpenter. Carpenter, the Cardinal first baseman. 4 homers, 15 RBIs, and batting .250. And a strike.
And this guy can hit. Led the majors in doubles 3 years ago. 2 years ago led the National League in doubles.
That sliced foul left side, and quickly 0-2. Carpenter signed through 2019, team option for the 2020 season. Last year limited to 129 games. No balls, 2 strikes. And Carpenter pops it up. Markakis and Enciarte. It'll be Ender who makes the catch. No advance. And Fultonevich out away from getting out of a scoreless first.
Martinez at second base is from Venezuela. He knows all about how good an outfielder Ender is and what a good arm he is.
So Jed Jerko, a 30-homer man last year, and 6 homers this year. He had a monster homestand for the Cardinals at the plate with 12 hits. And has hit 3 homers in his last 5 games. And that just missed. Kerwin Danley might have missed it.
And the scouting report on him is if you throw him a fastball, you better put it in a good place because he can hit anyone's fastball.
Rolled foul at third. We'll do it again. A ball and a strike. Jerko, a former San Diego Padre. Who's 28 years old. They got him for John Jay before the 2016 year. Fly ball, pretty well hit. Markakis on the run, still going. Warning track, can't get there. It's off the base of the wall. And Jerko has a double, and the Cardinals with 2 outs have scored the game's first run.
Slider that stayed up and didn't break much at all. Jerko had a great year in San Diego, and then he fell out of favor with a lot of people in their organization, and that's why he became available. Thought that he began to read his press clippings a little too much. Well, he's back on task now.
Yadi Molina scorches one toward Kemp, who makes a great diving catch in left to save a run.
Fully extended. That saves a run.
Jerko to score the game's first run. Now the Braves will try to answer. Their Toyota starting nine features Ender Inciarte. He's on a hit streak. Freddie Freeman's batted safely in 8 straight. Matt Kemp has a 6-gamer working. Adonis Garcia's at third. Tyler Flowers 10 hits in his last 5 games. Bottom line is, you figure the Braves offense in high gear, facing a tough hombre in Lance Lynn for St. Louis.
Boy, he is that. 29 years old. He'll be 30 in a few days. 6'5", 270 out of Brownsburg, Indiana in his 6th year. His last 3 starts, impeccable. First one against the Pirates, 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Milwaukee, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run. Cincinnati, 6 innings, 6 hits, 1 run. He missed all of last year with Tommy John surgery. His fastball sits in the low 90s with a cut fastball, slider, more sliders and curves this year, and a changeup. But a lot of fastballs.
And this man had a great 4-year run before he got hurt for the Cardinals. 18 wins, back-to-back 15-win seasons, a 12-win year in 2015 before undergoing the Tommy John, and he has come back with a vengeance so far for the Cardinals in 17. Ender Inciarte greets him first, and Lynn's first pitch of the night is a strike. Yadier Molina tried to steal a strike and couldn't even count.
And that's one of his bread and butter pitches, is something sinking down and away. 2-seamer. He'll wear right-handers out with that. He had full recovery time. He was not rushed back. 18 months from surgery to when he first pitched again.
2 balls, 1 strike for Ender. And that missed inside. Yeah, last year Lynn made a handful of rehab starts, just more for his mental health than his elbow health. And full off-season training regimen, regular spring training for him, and here he is in Atlanta tonight. 3-1 pitch called strike, full count. Brandon Phillips has seen Lynn a lot. And a shot hit toward Diaz at short. Can't handle it. And Ender's aboard to start the bottom of the first. And Joe, you hit an excellent point. If there is an Achilles heel for the Cardinals again this year, so far it has been their defense. It has not been good.
Yeah, they've made a lot of errors. This will probably go as a base hit when that took a funny hop up off his arm. But they are dead last in fielding percentage in the National League. They've made 24 errors. That will go as a base hit.
Yeah, Mike Matheny has said a couple of times that the Cardinals need to clean some things up. A tough play. Diaz couldn't make it, and Inciarte has an infield hit. Brandon Phillips is 10 for 40 lifetime against Lynn, and had a healthy cut and fouled it back.
Two of the focuses for their spring training was better defense, better base running. That still hasn't shown up yet for the Cardinals in their games. They're not a good base running team either.
Well, I wonder if some of that had to do, at least as far as the error total last year for the Cardinals, was all the shifting around they did with their infielders. I mean, Matt Carpenter started 40 games at first, at second, and at third base. They said to him, you're going to play first base. You've got Diaz, who's in his 2nd year at shortstop. Jerko can play second base. You've got Wong at second base. I mean, it's almost like they have 4 second basemen around the horn on their infield. Phillips skies one towards center, and that'll be playable for Tommy Pham. He's got it, and Phillips is out number 1.
Well, there's something else missing. Jose Oquendo, who's one of the best infield coaches in the game of baseball, and he's no longer a coach on their staff. And while they denied last year that his loss had any impact on them, it was finally acknowledged just prior to this season that, yeah, they miss him, finally.
And may miss him still, as you said, with 24 errors for 13 unearned runs in the first 27 games. Man aboard for Freddie Freeman. Freddie, an 8-game streak. 11 hits in that stretch, 3 homers. And it missed inside, ball 1. No shift, no real modified shift for Freddie Freeman with this Cardinal right-hander on the mound.
Of course, with Yadier Molina behind the plate, you kind of say, well, okay, he can shut down the running game, but that doesn't mean you got to stop altogether. He's thrown out 6 of 15 base stealers. Outstanding.
That's upstairs. 2 balls, no strikes. Yeah, maybe your best chance against Molina is that one of those pitches to him just he misses and it sticks to his chest protector.
Right. Well, there's something on the front of his chest protector. There's a spot for it.
2 balls, no strikes. Either that or he left it out and a flock of birds flew over. I'm not quite sure. Two balls, 1 strike. Team's pitching Freddie very carefully, as you'd expect. Leads the club with 18 walks. Three balls, 1 strike. And sliced foul. We shall do it again. Full count.
One of the things you'd like to see the Braves do tonight is run up the pitch count on Lance Lynn if they can. Pitches 1 through 50. He has a batting average against him of 115. And from 51 on, it's 291.
Let's see if Inciarte runs. Full count pitch coming. He goes. And it's ball 4 upstairs. 2 on, 1 out. So the Cardinals' first inning lead in jeopardy here with Matt Kemp coming up.
Lynn's from Indiana, but he went to Ole Miss and set all kinds of records there for the Rebels. Before signing with the Cardinals, he was a supplemental #1 pick. In other words, between the first and second round back in 2005.
Matt's on a good run. Great chance for the Braves here in the home first. Line drive hammered toward left. And Ender has to hustle back to second and beats the throw. Kemp hit it on the button. He's out #2 though. And Grichuk made the play and the strong throw back to second. Well, here's Nick. Interesting note on Nick Markakis, who has 12 RBIs for the year. 5 of those RBIs have come in the first inning. And you know what he can do with 2 outs. Both of those things are in play right here. Off the plate, ball 1.
And that's what Lance Lynn will do. He will work his fastball, not a whole lot unlike Bartolo Colon. One side, then the other, up and down, take a little off, mix in a slider.
Pretty healthy cut, but Nick didn't get it. Even count. Inciarte reached with an infield hit. Freddie Freeman walked with one out. And Lynn will need at least 20 pitches here in the first. Again out of play, left side. It's 2-2. Nice to see some blue skies here in Atlanta, finally. Advantage Atlanta. The runners can take off with a full count.
And especially against an infield or a team that is error prone.
Runners go, and Markakis swings and misses, and that'll retire the side. No runs, one hit, two left. The Cardinals enjoy a 1-0 lead after one.
Second inning. Now the Cardinals had a rough night last night. Not only did they lose their game, but they lost two of their outfielders. Stephen Piscotty left the game with a hamstring strain. He met with some doctors this morning. They decided to put him on the 10-day DL, so he is not here. Dexter Fowler left the game with a shoulder injury last night, but he did arrive to the ballpark earlier this afternoon, and he could be playing as early as tonight. They said his MRI didn't show anything concerning, not as bad as they thought. So, guys, I think we will probably see him in this season, or this series, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Kelsey. Ground ball up the middle. Dansby to his left, cannot get it. And Ledmus Diaz leads off the second for the Cardinals. And that'll be their third hit.
He was one guy that had been kind of cold, 7 for his last 34, but I don't think Dansby saw this ball off the bat right away. He got a little bit of a late start. His weight was a little bit over on his right side before his crossover step.
So Foltynewicz back to the stretch. And Randall Grichuk, the Cardinal left fielder, digs in. And Mike delivers a strike. It's 0-1 for Grichuk.
Another one of those good fastball hitters, but also a guy who swings and misses a lot. 31 strikeouts. That's the most on their team.
Wind really howling now toward left as Grichuk skies one back toward us out of play. It's 0-2. Cardinals got Grichuk from the Angels in the David Freese Fernando Salas deal. Up and down year for him last year. He was sent to the minors in AAA twice. And that's off the plate. 1-2. Flowers a nice stop. Even count now. Cardinals run a little bit. They've got 14 steals as a team. Diaz has 3 of those 14 steals. Tommy Pham, just up from Memphis, is on deck. 1-0. A first inning run for the Cardinals. And there's the strikeout. First of the night for Foltynewicz. 6 strikeouts in his last 12 at bats for Randall Grichuk.
Good breaking ball. Kept it down. That one had a little more bite to it.
And that's what Mike said after the start in Milwaukee. First 3 innings he had everything working, and then that slider just kind of flattened out, which cost him the 4 runs against the Brewers. But a good one there. Has his first out of the inning, and Tommy Pham is the hitter. And he swings the first one and skies it towards center. Ender on the run. He tries to deke everybody. It hits high off the wall, and the runners are at second and third. That ball exploded off Pham's bat.
His first at bat since getting called up last night from Memphis. And Ender did a great job of freezing Diaz. Fastball leveled off on it, almost hit it out of the ballpark in his first swing and his return. But by turning around here, Ender froze Diaz at second base. Watch this. And saved a run.
Gold glove play by Inciarte. Let's see how it works out with Lance Lynn, the hitter. He's 1 for 9 at the plate. Colton Wong next. You get an out here, then you got a real good shot at getting out of the inning. Let's see what the Cardinals have in mind. He puts it in play. Runners coming home. The throw to the plate, and they've got a run down. There's the out. Runner to third. Safe. So Diaz caught in the rundown. Pham advances to third. Lynn's at first on the fielder's choice.
Going on contact with the infield halfway. Good sign from Adonis that he wanted the throw. But with him running back toward home plate, that allowed Pham to get over to third base. But 2 down in the inning.
Colton Wong popped out to start the game for the Cardinals. As we showed you, one of their hottest hitters.
One of the other areas of concern for the Cardinals, and someplace they could really improve on, is hitting with runners in scoring position. .210, last in the National League and next to last with 2 out risk.
and a lot of strikeouts. 64 of them in 214 at bats with men at second and third base. One ball, one strike, 1-0 St. Louis the lead and threatening again. Best fastball of the night. Nice stop.
With the pitcher at first base, gives the Braves an advantage over on the right side with Freddie playing behind him. Not expecting him to try to steal.
Fouled straight back.
Good fastball there again. And Wong was late on the fastball in the first inning.
Now it's full count. So Lynn will measure off a lead at first. He'll be off to the races. There he goes, and the pitch is taken low, ball 4.
Oh man, it was a good pitch. Watch this one. Backdoor slider. Maybe the way Tyler chased it down to the ground cost him.
So a walk to Colton Wong brings up Martinez. As you said, these Cardinals can hit a fastball. They've got 4 hits already and already 3 doubles in the game. The first came from Martinez, who scored in the opening inning. Ground ball on the first pitch. Phillips will fire to first, and Fultonevich is out of trouble. He has a long look in at Kerwin Danley, but no damage done in the top of the frame. 1-0 St. Louis in early lead.
By Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. And by Delta Airlines.
1-0 St. Louis. Braves are coming up for their second look at Cardinal right-hander Lance Lynn. Follow Braves baseball live with the MLB.com @bat mobile app. Stay connected to the game's best players all season long with Game Day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com @bat today. It's your #1 app for live baseball. Atlanta had runners first and second, one out in the first, but a fly out and strikeout ended that threat, so they start anew with Adonis Garcia, Tyler Flowers, and Dansby Swanson here in the second. Adonis has a hit in his last 3 games for the Braves. He's 4 for 12 in that stretch. And Lynn starts him with a breaking ball. Strike 1. Sharply hit, and Jerko can't handle it, and that might have got his bare hand. The ball deflects toward the tarp, and Adonis Garcia is in at second base with nobody out. Let's check on Jerko.
That ate him up. Fastball in, he turned on it and came off the grass and then the dirt. And yeah, hit him right in the right wrist, it looks like. Oh boy, I bet that hurt. That should be an error.
Nope.
Whoa, hello.
Adonis is going to get a double out of that.
Okay.
He'll take it.
Home cooking.
That is going to leave a mark for Jed Jerko.
And they're already scuffling to put bodies on the field. Nope. Is he going to stay? Yes, he is.
See him flexing the fingers, just trying to get some feeling in his forearm. So that hard hit ball has the Braves in business. Tyler Flowers is coming up. Tyler with a .396 average.
Another case of not having taken one ground ball on this field before the game started.
So 2 plays on the left side of the Cardinal infield that were tough and weren't made. Let's see if Atlanta can cash this one in. Outside, ball 1. And nothing wrong with the Braves offense for the last 8 games. They've scored 58 runs. 93 hits in that stretch. They're hitting .361 with runners in scoring position in the last 8 games.
And there's guys at the bottom of the order who are doing a large part of the damage. The night they lost to the Mets 16-5. There's Grichuk and his, or excuse me, Jerko and his sore wrist. That thing's going to get worse as the night goes on. But from Markakis on down, they scored 4 of the 5 runs. They drove in 4 of the 5 runs in the bottom part of the order. Great production all around.
Tyler Flowers and Kurt Suzuki have been a nice tandem behind the plate and at the plate for the Braves. Tonight it's Tyler's turn. Had a good pass at that pitch and fouled it back. He's 5 for 13 with runners in scoring position this year. That's a .385 average. At the very least, he wants to get Garcia to third base. And he got hit. Flowers no stranger to being hit by a pitched ball, and 2 are on with nobody out.
He wears a batting glove that has a protective device on the back of it to protect his hand. I don't know if it hit that or if it hit his elbow guard. Elbow guard and tomahawk.
Something about Braves catchers being hit in the chest or rib cage with a fastball doesn't seem to be something that ought to continue. So another chance for Dansby. 2 on, nobody out. And a strike. Well, one thing you called for was the Braves to force Lynn to throw a lot of pitches. That's happening. Number 32 coming up. And Dansby didn't get it. Ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, in the first inning might have turned out a little differently too, but I think Nick bailed him out on a high fastball for strike 3 to end the inning.
Dansby didn't get it. He's down swinging, and that's the second strikeout for Lynn tonight. The Braves 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position so far, and now Mike Foltynewicz is coming up.
The pitcher, number 26, Mike Foltynewicz.
See if Mike can help himself. As we said, the Braves just have not scored runs for Mike when he's on the mound.
Last year at the end of the year, when he went on a good run, they were scoring runs for him in bunches, but it went back to the old ways here at the start of 2017.
3 total runs in Mike's now 5 starts this year. See if he can lay down a bunt. Make Jerko field it. Test out that arm. He bunted it foul and got brushed back in the process.
That 2-seamer he likes to throw really does move down and in. That's his preference, not necessarily up and in. There's a huge difference there on that run support. But I'm with you. I mean, this is where you want to bunt it to third base, but I'd like to see if Jerko can throw also.
But you got to get the bunt down in fair territory. 0-2.
Does have one sacrifice. He's got one more pitch to try it again.
He got the bunt down, and Carpenter will have one play, and it's to first. A 2-strike sacrifice for Foltynewicz. Nicely done. 3-4 sacrifice brings up Ender Inciarte.
Well done, sir.
Center fielder, number 11, Ender Inciarte.
Infield hit for Ender in the first inning. So he has an 8-game hit streak now. Didn't get it. Strike 1. Bounced back to the mound, and Lynn is out of trouble. The Braves strand 2 more. They have left 4 in the first 2 innings, and it's 1-0 St. Louis. Stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Download the app and take Fox Sports South and Braves baseball with you wherever you go. It's presented by Nissan.
Hey, wait a minute. Why can't you catch games on TV?
Well, let's say you're...
No. Why can't you catch all the games on TV?
Well, that's exactly.
This team's fun to watch.
Well, I should have said shame on you, but...
Yes, if you can.
If you can't, right.
Yes.
We'll give you the out.
Okay.
Sometimes people have to go to the grocery store. They're climbing Kennesaw Mountain or something fun like that, and they want to take their mobile device with them.
Do it earlier.
Hey, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
Here's Carpenter to lead off inning number 3. He popped out to center his first time up. This guy's a good player. And he takes a strike.
He's just one of those guys that's kind of the most unlikely first baseman in the National League. But serves their purpose. They got a big old guy, Matt Adams, over there that plays first base, but this wiry guy here is the one that can hit.
Well, and that's what's so interesting to me about the Cardinal team. They know their organization far better than I ever will. This is not meant as a criticism, but it seems to me they have a lot of guys playing in odd positions when they may have the answer. Adams first, Carpenter second, Jerko third, and go from there.
You got Johnny Peralta too, who's on a rehab assignment.
Last year they used 6 different first basemen, 4 different second basemen, 5 different shortstops, and 5 different third basemen.
Wow, that's amazing. 5 shortstops.
Yeah,
man.
So you wonder if that had anything to do with the extremely high number of errors that the Cardinals committed in 2016.
I'm sure it had a lot to do with it, and I will follow up again with where's Jose Oquendo.
1 ball, 2 strikes, and Mike missed badly.
There were days we'd show up at Busch Stadium for a day game early, get our work done, and Oquendo would be out there going through drills with the infielders that, frankly, I'd never seen before. And they weren't just, he wasn't just standing at home plate hitting ground balls. They were like Ron Washington's drills. They were all related to hand work and footwork, and it was very impressive what he did.
Full count pitch for Carpenter, and he takes ball 4. And leadoff walk from Fultonevich, his second walk of the game. Well, Braves fans will remember the name Jim Beecham and the job that Jim Beecham did for so many years with the Braves. Cardinals organization had a man named George Kissel who was very similar in his duties. I'm sure Jose Oquendo learned all those drills from George Kissel. One of the great instructors in Major League history. See how Mike settles in now. Runner at first, nobody out. Jerko doubled and drove in the game's only run. See how that arm feels after taking a shot off the forearm.
See how Mike reacts after not getting that strike 3 call also on Carpenter. At least the 3rd pitch that Mike feels Kerwin Danley has missed.
Line just out of reach of Brandon Phillips, and 2 are on with nobody out. Jerko's 2 for 2. And you can see the frustration building as Mike walks behind the mound to get the baseball from Dansby Swanson.
This is the pitch in question here. 3-2 to Carpenter. Target was away, the pitch wasn't, but it was right there.
St. Louis has had 2 base runners in every inning. Now Molina bats. He was robbed by Kemp on a bullet to left that ended the 1st inning. He lays down a bunt, and the throw is going to be to first base. Yadier Molina lays down a sacrifice bunt. That is team ball. Don't think anybody expected that.
That looks like the St. Louis Cardinals. For years you knew that anytime you played St. Louis, they were a team that was not going to beat themselves. They weren't going to give you free outs. That has not been the case the last year plus a month. That was some pretty good teamwork, as you said right there.
Diaz with a base hit his first time. He was erased in a rundown in the Cardinals' 2nd. And he takes a strike. That was the first sacrifice bunt by Molina since 2015. He only has 2 of them since the start of the 2013 year, and that one's down the line and into the corner. 2 runs are going to score. Aledmus Diaz has made it 3-0 St. Louis, and the sacrifice bunt turns into 2 Cardinal runs.
New York Mets doubled the Braves to death the other night. This is already the 4th double of the night for the Cardinals. Fooled on the pitch, but kept it fair.
Well, what's to say when one of your star players is willing to lay down a bunt in a situation like that? What a lift it has to give the entire Cardinal team. He's fired up on the 3rd base dugout bench. And now Lance Lynn enjoys a 3-run advantage, and Randal Grichuk is the hitter. Driven foul right side. It's quickly 0-2. Grichuk, the lone strikeout victim for Mike tonight. Didn't get the call. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Flowers will have to make the throw to first. Runner at second's going to third. Freeman's throw is going to be late. Excellent base running by Aledmus Diaz.
Pretty similar pitch to what Grichuk struck out on earlier. Tyler Flowers checked Diaz at second before throwing to first, but 2 long throws allowed him to get to third.
Didn't take Tommy Pham long to feel at home in a big league lineup. First pitch, he rifled a double that almost left the ballpark. It hit off the top of the fence. 1 ball, no strikes.
This is a guy who's had kind of a star-crossed career. He has stretches where he's really good, stretches where he's not, and a lot of it related to some vision issues. Constantly trying to fix it, correct it, and it's something that comes and goes in terms of his poor vision.
Saw that one well and drives it to straightaway center. Ender on the run at the wall. He cannot get it. It's a home run for Tommy Pham. He's hit 2 bullets to straightaway center. This one leaves the park.
He had hit 4 home runs at Memphis. Had a hanging slider. Stayed back beautifully. That was a terrific swing. And it seems like anymore we expect Ender to catch all of them.
A 4-run third for St. Louis. Pham a 2-run homer, and now Lance Lynn has a big 5-0 lead.
I'd say he's going through one of those stretches where he's seeing the ball pretty well.
You think so? Wow. 2 missiles from the Cardinals center fielder. Now 1-2.
Mike hasn't had quite the zip on his fastball tonight consistently that he had in Milwaukee, and I don't know if it's due to the cold, damp weather or not.
Lynn is down on strikes. A 2-run double, a 2-run homer, the big blows, but don't forget Molina's bunt. That was a thing of beauty, and the Cardinals score 4 times. Brandon Phillips will try to get something going in the Atlanta third next. Cardinals center fielder Tommy Pham 5-0. St. Louis, the early lead. Time for our Toyota Tweet of the Week. This week's question is, which first-year Braves player do you think is having the best season and why? Tweet us at Fox Sports Braves using the hashtag #NewBraves, and your tweet could be used in the Braves Live post-game show. Here is one of those first-year Braves, Brandon Phillips, who is having a good start. 199 career homers for Brandon Phillips. He's already over 200 stolen bases. He's trying to become the 48th man in the history of the game with 200 or more homers and 200 or more steals.
It's a good combo, isn't it?
You bet. Lance Lynn given a 5-0 lead. Braves had 2 chances to score tonight. They're 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Lynn with a couple of strikeouts has Phillips, Freeman, and Matt Kemp for the second time. Grounded toward Diaz at short. He gives ground, throws off balance, but he makes the play. And there's the first out.
Yeah, it seems like that's the way it goes. If you don't take advantage of your opportunities, the other team will, and Cardinals did.
First baseman number 5, Freddie Freeman.
Here's Freddie. Cardinals walked him in the first inning. Freddie's 4th in the league in hitting, 3rd in homers. Tied for 2nd in total bases. Tied for 3rd in runs. And is hitting an astounding .438 here at SunTrust Park.
Oh, there's a big smile on his face every day. Especially around the batting cage.
2 balls, no strikes. I love what Chipper said last night. What do you call Turner Field, a man's ballpark or something like
yes.
that?
Yes.
Much friendlier place for the left-hand hitting Freddie Freeman as he awaits a 3-0 pitch and takes it all the way. 3-1 now. And Freeman walks again. A 1-out pass brings up Matt Kemp. Cardinals can read the league leadership standings. They know that Freeman is one of the hottest hitters in the game. They'll pitch him extremely carefully, and with a 5-run lead, they have the luxury of putting him aboard with Matt Kemp coming up. But it is pick your poison, and Matt's done a nice job over his last week's worth of play.
Yeah, and he had a rocket his first time up to Grichuk and left.
Strike 1.
Well, that's a high and outside borderline strike that Foltynewicz would love to have had called a time or two.
Yep. Even count. Nice crowd tonight on a chilly, raw Friday night. Weather's supposed to improve over the weekend. I'm told tomorrow's game close to, if not sold out. And another big crowd here on Sunday. Final game of the homestand for the Braves. We're off Monday, then hit the road. We go down to Houston. 2-game series with the Astros beginning next Tuesday. Well, here's that 50 and 51 pitch portion of the game. Lynn's about to make number 50. Markakis on deck. Freeman at first. Kemp in the box, way ahead in the count.
So from here on, the Braves ought to hit at least 291 against him.
I like the way you think. Three and two with one out. Freeman's running, and Kemp spoiled the pitch.
The only 2 hits he allowed in the first 50 pitches were ground balls that went off the shortstop's glove and one that went off the third baseman's arm.
Again, Freddie runs. Kemp broke his bat. A shot to short. They got the out and the double play. Great turn by the Cardinals. Kemp broke his bat. Atlanta's doubled up. And Lynn is out of the third with a 5-0 lead.
Let's see if one lucky fan.
Nothing lead here in the fourth. Time now for our Xfinity game break from our set here at the Battery at SunTrust Park. And we all know about Steven Strasburg's arm. How about his bat? His first of the year. Boy, the Nats are taking it to the Phils. Guess who else homered for Washington tonight? Yes, that's right, Ryan Zimmerman again. Anthony Rendon a solo shot as well. Look at that mighty arm and mighty bat of Mr. Strasburg. Nats up 4-0 in the fifth. Chip.
I'm not sure anybody's going to stop the Nationals the way they're playing. Zimmerman's 12th homer leads the National League, and the Nationals really have a chance to pad their Eastern Division lead as Colton Wong dumps one into shallow center. That'll drop for the Cardinals second baseman. Nothing going right for Mike tonight. St. Louis now with 8 hits. The Nationals are going to play the Phillies 6 times in the next 10 days. In fact, the Nationals and Phillies will have played 12 times before May 14th. Makes no sense to me, but I don't make the schedule.
Only play 19 times all year.
Right. Jose Martinez, the batter. He's doubled, scored, and grounded out. And he had a healthy cut. Strike one. Last year when we saw the Cardinals early in the year at Turner Field, they came to town and really walloped Atlanta. They swept the 3-game series, and it wasn't their big names that did a lot of damage. It was guys like Jeremy Hazelbaker and Aledmus Diaz. Guys were coming off the bench hitting pinch hit home runs all over the place.
Old man Hazelbaker's son had a great series. But Hazelbaker's gone. Matt Holliday's gone. They lost some pop in their lineup, and especially with Piscotty hurt right now, that hurts from a power standpoint, but look what Pham's done getting called up from AAA tonight.
Yeah,
you're right about the way they did it and waltzed through Atlanta. They finished the year last year second in the league in homers. They hit like 220 some homers as a team. Right now, coming into this game, they're 13th in the National League out of 15 teams in homers.
Winning with their pitching. And Lynn's got a 2-hit shutout working through 3 tonight. Martinez behind in the count 0-2 as the wind continues to whistle. That's inside. Remember, this is a lineup that doesn't have Dexter Fowler in it either. You might be thinking, uh-oh, Wally Pipp.
Yeah.
The way Pham has played tonight.
One of the things they wanted to accomplish was to get a little more athletic in the offseason. And they signed Dexter Fowler, who was a perfect fit for them, and the need they had in center field, and a leadoff guy. And that excited everybody that's a big fan of the St. Louis Cardinals. Like, all right, that's a good sign. Now what else are we got to do? Well, they really didn't do anything more.
Swing and a miss. That gets Martinez for the first out. Yeah, I mean, maybe their other addition was getting Lynn back from Tommy John. Making an acquisition without making a trade because he's healthy and rolling in rotation. And the Fowler thing does something else. They add a terrific player and they take away a terrific player from their arch rivals, the Cubs. Here's Carpenter, 1 on, 1 out. Carpenter walked and scored on the Aledmys Diaz double in the 3rd. Oh, 2.
You know, a lot of times in college football bowl games, when a bowl organization is picking their teams, they like to pick teams who travel well, quote unquote. Well, if the St. Louis Cardinals go to any bowl games anytime soon, bowl organization committee will be very happy. They travel well. Fans everywhere.
Like the Braves, the Cardinals, a remarkable organization. They're celebrating their 125th anniversary this year.
Wow.
11 World Championships, 19 National League pennants. And the 2-2 pitch is skied to center. Ender sprinting back to the warning track. Still going, still going. Look at that ball carry out.
I think Nick Markakis is onto something. Flags are blowing in.
Hit it high and watch it fly. Another 2-run homer. This one off the bat of Matt Carpenter, and St. Louis leads 7-zip.
Nick Markakis suggested to Chip that the ball is carrying real well to center field because of that tunnel out there. But the wind circulates through the stadium and then kind of like a funnel goes through that tunnel and helps carry the ball out. That's almost an instant replay of Pham's home run.
So that's 25 home runs at SunTrust Park by my count. And I've said this a million times. I really believe it's a home field disadvantage for the Braves. They don't know how the park is going to play, but we're finding out that it is a jet stream to straightaway center field. And from our vantage point, there's a garage door that is half open. I don't remember during this first month and a half of play at SunTrust Park that garage door being completely shut. Would that help cut the wind down? Would that stop the vacuum effect that Nick was talking about? I don't know, but we might want to find out, because the ball is rocketing out of here, and that's the great unknown. It's not even hot yet in Atlanta.
You'd like to think it'd work both ways.
Not so far tonight. 7-0 St. Louis. And Jerko, the batter, he takes ball one. He has a double, a single, a run, and an RBI. Action has begun in the Braves bullpen. Haven't seen Mike throw too many changeups.
Yeah, and I think that's been as effective a pitch as he's had in the first 5 starts.
Former Cardinal Jason Mott is the first man up. Adonis at third. He's got it behind the bag. Jerko's the second out. Well, 9 doubles allowed to the Mets in one game. The Cardinals have a bunch of extra base hits tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them already. And a couple of wind-blown homers, one by Pham, one by Carpenter. And here's Yadier Molina.
That's quite possibly what they're talking about on the bench with Carpenter. Was, did you hit that ball real well? Would that have been out in our ballpark?
Line drive foul by Molina. And the Cardinal catcher in an 0-2 hole.
Because again, they didn't get to take batting practice here. They have no idea how the ball jumps, flies, travels, doesn't carry.
They're finding out.
They're figuring it out.
Yeah. That's bounced off the tarp foul. It's 0-2. Cardinals signed Molina to a contract extension right at the end of spring training. Pitch is dribbled towards short. Dansby's got it, and that retires the side. 2 more runs for St. Louis. Matt Carpenter, a 2-run homer, his 5th of the year, and the Redbirds lead 7-0.
As we head to the bottom of the 4th inning, and who's that? That is Andrew Jones here in the house tonight, checking out his Braves. PBR Atlanta opened up and he was one of their special guests. Now, we've seen the 10-time Gold Glove winner do a lot of really cool things, but have you ever seen him ride a mechanical bull? Well, here I am to make your day because you're about to get to see that happen. He got to ride this mechanical bull at the grand opening of PBR Atlanta. He was signing autographs, and Chip and Joe, they named the bull after him. The bull's name is Drew. So how is y'all's afternoon going? Because I don't think it's going as well as his went.
Maybe not. And it looked like he just kind of bailed on that.
He did.
Because I know he could have ridden it a lot longer. Maybe he got his 8 seconds in, says, I'm done.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Looked like fun, though.
7-0 St. Louis. Great to have Andrew at the ballpark tonight. Nick Markakis leads off for the Braves, who have but 2 hits against the Redbirds righty. 4th inning, game 1 of the weekend series. Markakis struck out his first time. PBR Atlanta. That'll be a cool spot. I'm gonna have to try that out after one of the games. In the Battery.
Have to wear our boots that night.
Yeah. Two balls and a strike. That's a little low. Braves 11-15. They've dropped 5 of their last 6 games here at home. Got to turn that around. Lynn's been stingy this year. He's got a 7-run advantage. There's a shot toward right center field. Pham on the run, still going. That's over his head. And that's going to bounce over the fence for a ground rule double. You know, the outfielders could save themselves some time and just play on the warning track in center field. They might have a better chance.
I'm looking at Pham. He did something kind of strange out there after the ball bounced over the fence. I don't know if he slid on the warning track or what happened. Good swing by Nick. Launched it. Not sure why that one didn't get out of here. Watch Pham. Oh, he just stumbled there as he got to the warning track.
That was Nick Markakis' 400th career double. So another chance for the Braves. Adonis Garcia, the batter. That shot out of play to the right side. Strike 1.
400 doubles. Well, that's a lot, isn't it?
8th active player to reach that milestone. It's the 3rd Atlanta hit. And the Braves have something brewing. They could use a big inning right here, right now. The pitch. Bouncing ball right side. Carpenter to a knee. Flips to Lynn covering. And the runner advances. Nick Markakis at 3rd with 1 out.
Looked like Lynn took up a little more of the first base bag than he wanted to, and there's a little side swipe there from Adonis Garcia. Both guys knowing it was unintentional, but man, Lynn at 270 is a brick wall to run into down there.
Smart play by Yadier Molina to do a little housekeeping in front of the plate. Nothing wrong with that area of the diamond. He's just giving Lynn a couple of extra seconds to catch his breath. Tyler Flowers was hit by a pitch back in the 2nd. He'd like some revenge right here. And he got hit again.
Same exact pitch, basically. Tyler didn't appear to be in any hurry to get his elbow out of the way. They're down by 7.
And Dansby Swanson, the hitter. Dansby struck out with 2 aboard in the 2nd inning. He's got the whole right side of the infield to play with if he can shoot a ball that way.
You know, we're trying to figure out the carry here at the ballpark, and We know how it jumps to center field. I'm watching some smoke that's being blown across the field from a grill that's outside the stadium, and it's blowing swiftly right across from the right field foul pole toward the scoreboard.
And Lynn is missing up and into the right-hand hitters. 2 balls, no strikes. Well, I love what you said about this place on opening day and the exit, which one uses off I-75 to get to the ballpark. That may be the most telling thing about how this place is going to play. That exit is called
Windy Hill Road. I got that from Mark Lemke. And this must be the vicinity of Windy Hill, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, it is one of the higher elevations in town, and you can see downtown Atlanta from our vantage point. And the ball is hopping tonight on a 52-degree evening. 2 balls, no strikes. Derek Lilliquist out for a quick visit. He's back in the Cardinal dugout, and a strike.
I started to say a second ago, those pitches you see there to Swanson up and in, and the ones that have hit Tyler Flowers, those are 2-seamers that he's trying to get down and into right-handed hitters, to run them in on their hands a little bit, or their kneecaps, not their elbows and shoulders.
Popped up. Molina behind the plate, tosses the mask aside, and Dansby is retired for out number 2. The Braves are 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position. And the end of the line has come from Mike Foltynewicz. He'll depart after 4 innings of work. Emilio Bonifacio will be the pinch hitter. Disappointing game for Foltynewicz, who pitched so well for the Braves before tonight. 7 runs in 4 innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk, excuse me, 2 walks, and 2 homers. Bonifacio picked up his first pinch hit the other day. It was a 2-run scoring triple in the 4th inning against the Mets. That was the game on May 3rd, where New York scored 16 runs and wrapped out 20 hits. Nothing in 1. So now 0-2.
His fastball's been good tonight, even if it's been mislocated a couple of times. He's still in the 91 to 93 range. And you can look pretty good with a 7-0 lead.
Strike 3 inside corner, and that's the inning. Braves haven't been able to get a big hit tonight. They're not liking Kerwin Danley's strike zone, and they're certainly not liking a 7-0 game. Xfinity cam. We're going to pull back after a zoomed in shot of home plate at SunTrust Park.
What a lens on that thing, huh?
Yeah, it's incredible.
I'm proud of Jerry Krause for being up there on a night like this. Focusing, zooming.
He's got his, what do you call those, the paracords or whatever. He's strapped to that camera. There's no way the wind's going to blow him off the top of the building. As Josh Colmenter takes over for Mike Foltynewicz as we head to the top of another fifth.
Our camera operators draw straws, though. I mean, it's a rotating basis. Josh would like to get back on track. He had a rough outing a couple of nights ago in that blowout by the Mets. An inning, 5 hits, 4 runs. This guy's a good story. Able to get out of Cuba. And the Cardinals gave him a pretty good contract, 4-year contract, but he really wasn't living up to it. And he was on the 40-man roster and then demoted off the 40-man roster. He could have been picked up in a Rule 5 draft by anybody. But it was like that was the wake-up call. When he got taken off the 40-man roster, boy, did he go to town and start putting up some numbers, and has not stopped. And hit his first big league homer, as you said earlier, Chip, at Turner Field last year in that first series of the year between these two teams.
Made the All-Star team last year. Now, he was a substitution for an injured player. That injured player was Matt Carpenter, but hey, nobody's going to remember that.
Nope.
He's an All-Star, the first Cardinal rookie to make the All-Star team since Albert Pujols, which is high praise. And another walk. Braves can't get the ball down tonight. Third walk issued to this Cardinal club. And Diaz aboard for a third time. Hey, great night tonight. It's Tomahawk Cap giveaway night. And they just handed us a couple of those Tomahawk hats. Ones the Braves wore in spring training.
Love them.
Now, first Grichuk, the batter. It is often fashionable these days, I guess, for the youngsters to wear their caps with the flat brim. Maybe we can get our booth camera to focus in, and you can show the younger fans the proper way to break in a baseball cap.
No.
Brim.
No.
Not interested?
No, I am, but it's a personal thing. You know, it's like I could show them how I would do it.
Well, you're a trained professional. That's the point. We don't want fans walking around looking like that guy with a hat on top of a hat. Can't do that.
No, that's not good.
No.
But the young man next to him, that's the way he's got his fixed.
Swing and a drive by Grichuk. That's over Kemp's head, and it's off the wall. Diaz on his way to third. He'll stop there. Grichuk has a double. Well, before we get back to the hats, we were bragging on the Braves starting pitching in our opening comments, and while for the most part the starters have been very good, so far in the month of May the Braves bullpen has gotten tomahawked. They are giving up runs at a furious pace.
I agree, with the exception of the 3 guys that have kind of held down the fort at the end of the game, Ramirez, Vizcaino, and Johnson. The other guys have had a tough time, rough time. And Gretchen Caney, our producer tonight, had a stat a couple of days ago regarding percentage of relief innings that were shutout innings and how that has gone down gradually over the last 5 or 6 years for Atlanta.
It was like 57% scoreless innings in 2013. Look at that. 6 out of every 10 innings the opponent scores a run. Or appearance, excuse me, appearance. That's even more difficult.
Yeah, and the 57% that started that graphic, that's great. That's a good percentage.
But in several of the Braves' 15 losses so far, it's been those add-on runs in the middle innings that have been so difficult for the team to overcome. And tonight, can't give the Cardinals any more. They're already up 7-0. He is squaring everything up. And Tommy Pham is our Yellowwood bringing the lumber feature.
He got a slider out over the plate and hit it into the jet stream. Oh, good. Hinder really hit the glove. Hit his hand hard on that padded wall. I mean, this is, as an outfielder, you can get a little perplexed over, maybe I'm not playing deep enough. But when they're being ricocheted off the wall back to you, chances are pretty good no matter how deep you were playing, you weren't going to get there anyway.
That's why I said it half in jest. Save yourself the trouble. Play a few steps shy of the warning track in center field. Because he's been running from gap to gap, front and back, with the ball jumping out to center.
And the other side is that you can't look at the flags and say, okay, well, the wind's going to hold some balls up, because that doesn't seem to be the case in this ballpark.
Nope. Second and third, nobody out. Full count pitch for Tommy Pham. And he's down on strikes. First time the Braves have got the Cardinals center fielder tonight. Lynn's coming up. He's 0 for 2. Cardinals trying to pick up a full game on the Cubs. Yankees beat them 3-2 today. That was a dramatic finish. You were telling me at Wrigley Field today.
Yeah, Yankees were down to their last strike in the ninth, and I'm not sure who it was, hit a 3-run homer.
Lynn, the batter, infield in.
Brett Gardner that hit the homer.
And to make matters worse, they gave Aroldis Chapman his World Series ring today, and he saved the game for the Yankees. And Jerome's going to have a game break. We'll show you exactly how the last 2 innings took place at Wrigley. As Lynn didn't get it. No balls, 2 strikes. There's strike 3. Lynn's not going to argue with a 7-run lead. Back-to-back strikeouts for Cole Mentor, and we go back to the top of the Cardinal order. Colton Wong is out of Hilo, Hawaii. First round pick in 2011, the 22nd overall player chosen that year.
Kurt Suzuki's from Hawaii, as you know, but he went to Cal State Fullerton to college.
One ball, no strikes. Fly ball, well hit right. Markakis on the run, still going, and had to scramble to the warning track to haul that one in. A walk, a double, 2 strikeouts, and a flyout. Top of the order up for the Braves in the 5th.
5th against the Cardinals. Chip Caray said he wanted to see how that Cubs-Yankees game ended today. Well, that's what I'm out here for, our Xfinity game break. How about down to their final out, down 2-0 with 2 on, and Brett Gardner says, Hector Rendon, thank you very much. I'll deposit this one out into the right field seats, and the Yankees go on to win it by a score of 3-2, Chip.
Boy, the Yankees are one of the great surprises in Major League Baseball this year. We saw them this spring, and they had a great record. And some folks said, well, you know, it's spring training. You can't put a whole lot of stock into that. But the New York Yankees, with all those young players, Aaron Judge, Gary Sanchez, the young catchers finally come back.
Right.
The Yankees are now 18-9 in first place in the American League East, ahead of Baltimore and Boston, Tampa Bay, and Toronto in last place. Don't think anybody saw that coming.
That's a similar record to what they had in spring training.
Yeah.
I think they were like 24-10 in spring training, something like that.
First pitch ground ball by Ender Inciarte is going to sneak through the right side. And Ender has a 2-hit game, his 10th multi-hit affair of the young season. So there's a start. Here's Phillips.
Again, maybe because he knows he doesn't have to hit microscopic spots. That's another one of those two-seamers that stayed up and out over the plate.
Brandon Phillips 0 for 2. He's flied out and he has grounded out. Mike Foltynewicz started 4 innings, 9 hits, 7 runs, 2 Cardinal homers, both to straightaway center field. And Lynn pulled that one way outside. Ball 1. Big series in Colorado tonight. Arizona and the Rockies. Those two clubs battling it out for the top position in the National League West. Rockies have a 1.5 lead over the Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks lost 2 out of 3, I believe, in Washington. They won the first game, lost the last 2.
Line to short, and Ender scrambles back to first. Phillips hit it right on the button, but right at Aledmus Diaz.
First baseman number 5,
Colorado's got Ian Desmond back, and I believe he's making his Coors Field debut as a member of the Rockies tonight. Again, the Cardinals with a big lead have the luxury of doing whatever they want with Freddie Freeman. They've walked him twice. He was left stranded in the first. He was erased in a 3rd inning double play. One ball, 1 strike. Nationals still lead the Phillies 4-0. Washington looking for its 20th win. That's hammered out of play. Foul. How in the world did he get the head of the bat out on that pitch?
How does he do a lot of things? Take a look. In a calendar year since May 5th of last season, first in the National League in homers, 2nd in doubles, 3rd in runs, 4th in hits.
And remember, Freddie didn't get going until after the trade deadline.
That's true. You can put him up there with the best hitters in the National League.
1-2 pitch on Werewolf night at the ballpark.
Guess got nothing better to do.
You know, that stat that you had on the screen a moment ago, when we get to August, That's one I want to see from August to August. What Freddie's numbers will be. I'm sure they're going to be astounding. They're already eye-popping. As the pitch comes home, and Freddie didn't get it. He's down on strikes, 2 outs, 4 strikeouts for Lynn, and Matt Kemp is the hitter. By the way, voting for the All-Star game has started online. If you want to see Freddie Freeman start for the National League, start voting now.
Game is in Miami this year.
That's where the Cardinals will head next, by the way, after they wrap up this series. Here's Matt. He's 0 for 2. Line out and a double play. A strike. I'll bet the fans sitting next to that guy are just loving every second.
Do it
of
again.
that.
Do it again, Farrell. Are you sure that it's not a bird? That they're answering each other,
or a hurt dog? It's not often I'm speechless, but I must admit, 0-2 the count. And Kemp, watch that one sail away. Pitch number 80 coming up for the Cardinal right-hander. And it missed high. 2-2. Well, no surprises. We talked about it before the game got going. Secret to the Cardinals' success so far this year has been excellent starting pitching, and the Braves are going to see 3 good ones. Lynn tonight, Mike Leake, and then Michael Wacha on Sunday afternoon. Don't forget to join us a half-hour earlier tomorrow night, as that one's all the way to the backstop. And Inciarte in at second base with 2 outs. Kemp backed out of the way, lost the batting helmet, and he'll have to dig in with a full count.
Yeah, again, he's been missing up and in all night.
Correctly scored a wild pitch. See if Matt can provide a 2-out hit. Braves do not have a hit with a runner in scoring position tonight. They're 0 for 7 and down 7 runs. The pitch. Here it is. Swing and a miss. And Lynn is through 5 with a 7-0 lead in the start of a big weekend series between the Braves and the Cardinals.
you by your local Ford dealer and the Georgia Lottery.
Chip and Joe with you from Atlanta, Georgia. Beautiful view of downtown Atlanta and SunTrust Park in the foreground. Cardinals have enjoyed their first visit here. No fielding practice, no batting practice. Hasn't bothered them a bit. They're up 7-0.
No problem.
Yeah. Josh Coleman's out for his second inning of relief. He'll face Martinez, Carpenter, and Jerko in the 6th inning. And a quick strike. Martinez a 1-for-3 game. He's 25 years of age. Take that back. He's 28 years of age. I was thinking of Carlos Martinez, the pitcher.
This guy's dad played in the big leagues, and he was notable. Remember the ball that hit Jose Canseco on top of the head and bounced out of the ballpark?
Yeah.
His dad hit it.
Oh, really? That's cool. 3 balls and a strike. That's in there. Full count.
Like anyone you would expect at his age to finally be getting this opportunity and contribute like he is. He is so appreciative, and everybody in the organization tells us that comes to the park with a smile on his face, does whatever Mike Matheny asks him to do, however much work they want him to put in, whether it's at first base, the outfield, whatever. And it was just a joy and no surprise when you've put in that much time in the minor leagues.
I mean, just looking at his career numbers, his complete record in the Cardinal Media Guide, it strikes me you don't see many players accumulate 3,300 minor league and independent league at bats before they get to the major leagues. So yeah, you're right. He, I'm sure, appreciates every second of it.
What was that average that in the Coast League 2 years ago? 380.
384 in 98 games.
It was like the highest batting average in like, I don't know, 40 years or something.
You know what his on-base percentage was that year? 461.
Goodness.
And then he had a real bad year the next year. He only hit 298 at Omaha.
Yeah. Well, but see, that's the thing that I don't get. I mean, even if he wasn't on your 40-man roster, and it was when the Royals were really rolling, there's a guy who won the batting title, had that kind of on-base percentage, and did not get a call-up in September. That was surprising.
Again, the Cardinals, as we mentioned, came to Atlanta last year with a lot of quote-unquote no-name find players and put a hurting on the Braves. And Martinez has started the series with a double and a run scored. Matt Carpenter has hit a homer, and he's got a full count now. Carpenter scored twice. He's knocked in 2. They lead 7-0 in the 6th. And he takes a walk with 1 out. Second walk issued by Coleman. And here's Jerko. You know, he reminds me of a little bit when you see him.
Who's that?
Dan Uggla. Similar body shape. And like Dan Uggla, Jerko's hit 30 homers. See Dan around town every now and then. Still lives here in Atlanta. Did some real good things for the Braves at the plate. 1 ball, no strikes. And it's taken low, 2-0.
Well, Jericho, the year he broke in with a big way with the Padres in 2013, he hit 23 homers, drove in 63. And the next year he hit 210, 10 homers. And that's when they thought he began to think that he was more big league than he was.
Fly ball right. And Nick Markakis gets to come in on a fly ball and makes the catch. There's the second out.
He bounced back the following year and hit 247 with 16 homers, but he also spent some time in AAA as a reminder that he wasn't a lock.
Yeah, and they gave him a big contract, like you said.
Yes.
And Cardinals are very happy to have him. Here's Molina. Scorched a liner to left that Kemp dived and caught. Laid down a sacrifice bunt in the 3rd inning that led to 2 Cardinal runs and then grounded out last time up. No balls and a strike. Yadier Molina is going to go down as one of the all-time great catchers in the history of Major League Baseball. He started this season 16th all-time in innings, 24th in games, 11th all-time in putouts, 11th all-time in total chances.
And on top of that, he's came into this season a .285 career hitter.
And he shoots one into center with 2 outs. Not to mention the 8 Gold Gloves, 8 consecutive Gold Gloves. He's the only Cardinal catcher to win the award more than 3 times. Mike Matheny, his current manager, did it 3 times. 7 consecutive All-Star seasons. He's won the Silver Slugger.
And there were a lot of people who thought maybe the Cardinals overreached by signing him to, what was it, a 3-year deal or 4 years?
I think it was 3.
He's 34 years old. Tough to keep catchers on their same plane of their numbers once they reach this age. So everybody thought that was a reach, but good for the Cardinals to reward him.
Yeah, 3 years, $60 million, as this one's poked up the middle. A base hit by Diaz. Here comes Carpenter around. Ender's not going to attempt to throw. And Diaz has had a big game.
He may have faked the throw, but he had Molina ducking big time. Not much to laugh about tonight, but that was funny. Inside out stroke there by Diaz. Now here you go. Watch Molina. Oh, what? Where's he throwing that?
So Coleman gives up his first run. It's 8-0 St. Louis. Randall Grichuk has 2 strikeouts and a double. Well, I wonder if the Cardinals at some point will do with Molina what the Giants are trying to do with Buster Posey. Get him some starts at first base in the latter stages of that contract. But you can understand why they want to keep him in uniform. Even his reputation of shutting down running games is a valuable asset. His command in that clubhouse, his command of that pitching staff. And with catching so hard to find, even at an advanced age, Yadier Molina, with 12 full big league seasons, still state of the art in many ways.
How about this? League Championship Series, NLCS's, 129 at bats.
Wow.
And a .326 average. World Series, 67 at bats, a .328 average.
Ripped by Grichuk into left field, and the Cardinals are going to play it station to station. Ball bobbled by Kemp, and now Molina can restart the engines, and he'll score standing up. It's a 9-0 St. Louis game, and the second straight full game. The Braves are not looking good at home.
Middle of the plate. I'm not sure what happened to Matt here. He just kind of shoveled it right out of his glove. Molina was going to stop and then went, so they will charge Matt with an error there. Another thing on Molina, he's 4 for 7 in All-Star game appearances too.
So a great player that the Cardinals got in the 4th round in June of 2000. And he's the 3rd of the 3 Molina catching brothers to be in the major leagues. So here's Tommy Pham. 2 more runs across for the Cardinals. This one hammered toward right center. Ender got a good jump. He's there and makes the play. The Cardinals are 4 for 10 with a homer and 5 RBIs in this game with 2 outs. And Mike Matheny's squad is enjoying their first visit to Atlanta this year. Race. Join us here early this Sunday, May 7th. The first 20,000 fans will get a one-of-a-kind Fill the Bucket keychain brought to you by Home Depot. Go to Braves.com/tickets and get your seats today. I have just one question. Why does Fill the Bucket get the first keychain? Why is it not the hammer or the drill or the brush? What's up with that? I mean, Fill the Bucket, a tremendous competitor in the Home Depot tool race. There's no mistaking that. However, you know, he's out of the rubbing his racing school of thought with the tool race. He'll trip people, knock people over.
Yeah. Somebody needs to grab him by the handle.
So the Fill the Bucket keychain, your gift on Sunday. Nick Markakis leads off for Atlanta. 9-0 St. Louis. They've out hit the Braves 13-4. And Lance Lynn, barring disasters, on his way to win number 4. Marlins are winning tonight. They're beating the Mets 7-3. Montero started that game for New York. Ground ball hit to the right side. That'll be easy. And the flip to first in time. Miami started play today. Second place, tied with the Mets and Phillies. Only one team in the division above 500 in the East. But Miami has a chance to win number 13 today. One out in the Atlanta sixth. Here's Garcia. Adonis had a double, and he bounced out to first with pitcher covering. Strike one. Hope you'll join us here tomorrow night, 6:30 with Braves Live. Julio Teheran will try to get his feet under him at SunTrust Park. He has been hit hard here at home. Mike Leake will pitch for St. Louis. First pitch 7:10. So mark your calendars. Fly ball right. That'll be a piece of cake for Martinez. 2 out. And here's Tyler Flowers.
The catcher, number 25,
Tyler wins the Black and Blue Award for the Braves tonight. He's been hit by a pitch twice.
Wouldn't expect Lynn to pitch him inside again.
Oh. Ball 2. Derek Lilliquist, former Brave, now the Cardinal pitching coach, follows Dave Duncan in that role for St. Louis. They've got an excellent staff. Tipped and caught, full count. One guy though they'd like to get going is Adam Wainwright.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's too bad that his turn didn't come up where he was able to pitch here at SunTrust Park. He's having a rough start to his year.
Lance Lynn had a neat milestone the other day when he pitched against the Reds on April 28th. Earned his 790th career strikeout and passed a guy with a great name, Vinegar Ben Mazzell, who pitched in the 50s and 1960 with St. Louis. Boy, they've got some historic names that have worn the Cardinal uniform. Bob Gibson and Steve Carlton and Dizzy Dean, just to name a few. Full count pitch. And a strikeout. Lynn getting stronger as the game goes on. He's got 6 strikeouts. He's got a shutout working. He leads 9-zip. Good triumph over evil in that lightsaber battle. It was clear that Kelsey had the advantage at Star Wars night here tomorrow night. We'll have a lot of fun with that. And we could use a little levity, to be honest with you, because it's 9-0. St. Louis in front. A couple of changes for the Braves. Jace Peterson will take over at third base. And Sam Freeman is on to make his season debut in an Atlanta uniform.
He was pitching great down at Gwinnett. The 3 wins represented the most wins on their staff. And his ERA of 0.87 was the best among relievers and the best on the staff. So he comes in pitching great baseball. He's been in the big leagues before with 3 different organizations. Here's hoping he does well.
Eric Fryer's got a pinch hit for Lance Lynn, who went 6 innings of 4-hit shutout ball. He hit a couple of batters. He walked 2 and struck out 6. Also threw a wild pitch. 95 pitches for Lynn in his 6 innings of work. And a lot of smiles on that Cardinal bench as he's got a great chance to go to 4-1 on the year. Fryer takes a little low from Freeman. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Last 2 games for the Braves have been anything but pretty for their pitching staff. Last official game against the Mets, and tonight 25 runs, 33 hits in their last 15 innings, and almost half of those hits for extra bases.
Got to figure that out. Goes without saying. Bullpens had a big part in that. Tonight, worst start of the year for Mike Foltynewicz. And you hope Julio Teheran can pitch well here tomorrow. He has not fared well on his home mound yet. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And strike 3 called. Fryer is frozen. In a 9-0 game, too close to take. He's the first out, and that's how the 7th inning starts.
And that's how Sam Freeman's outing starts as an Atlanta Brave. 93 fastball.
Hey, you know, he's pumped up to pitch in this game. Freeman was originally drafted by the Cardinals. He was a 32nd round pick by St. Louis back in 2008. St. Louis, Texas, Milwaukee, and now Atlanta, his major league stops.
And I believe he's from Texas, right?
Yeah,
Houston.
Born in Houston, lives in Prosper, Texas. Not sure where that is, but Sam, 5'11", 180 pounds, 29 years of age. And he's throwing strikes. That has been the question for Sam Freeman. Coming into this season, 116 major league innings, 68 walks.
Good breaking ball.
A couple of years ago, this man had a very interesting run for the Texas Rangers. He appeared in 7 consecutive games.
Wow.
Now that sounds like, wow, what a abusive run of pitching, right? 3 innings, faced 11 hitters.
7 straight games.
Yeah. So he truly was a specialist. And he just struck out Colton Wong on a borderline call. But he got it. 2 outs.
But there were 2 really good breaking balls in that sequence that froze him on each occasion. This one buckled his knees. You know, and what I see here is that Tyler Flowers is set up away, and the pitch came to the inside corner. Well, Foltynewicz made a similar pitch to Carpenter tonight, right before he walked. on a 3-2 count. Same type situation. He didn't get the call. And that started a 3-run, make it a 4-run inning.
Jose Martinez with 2 outs. Took a high fastball. Ball 1. Phillies back in their game at home against Washington, now 4-2. I believe Bryce Harper was not in the lineup after a groin injury last night. They've already lost Adam Eaton. They can ill afford to lose Bryce Harper, quite obviously. Mets have tied Miami 7-7 in the 7th.
Yeah, the Mets had to be running on fumes tonight after a late night here with the rain getting into New York City late.
Can't figure out the Marlins. They have a all-world type lineup. When they score a lot of runs, their pitching lets them down. When they get good pitching, they score 2 runs and lose. It's been a frustrating first month plus for Don Mattingly's club. And that's inside. 3-1 to Martinez. Reds all over the Giants. 9-1 in the 4th inning at the Great American Small Park. Brewers and Pirates no score early. Arizona 5, Rockies nothing in the 4th. That's lined toward the gap in right center. Nobody's getting that. Martinez is going to have another hit. He's on his way to second. He'll stop there with 2 outs. And Martinez with bookend doubles tonight.
Fastball, got a hitter's count. So he was looking fastball, got one he could handle. Nice piece of hitting on a pitch in the outer third.
Three-run night for Matt Carpenter. He's also hit a 2-run homer. Give Carpenter now 12 RBIs in his last 8 games for St. Louis. That's slashed out of play, and here's the 4th inning homer against Mike Foltynewicz.
That one was in the middle of the plate up, and again just out of the reach of Inciarte in center. Both of their home runs tonight hit in almost the identical spot.
One pitch. Didn't get it. It's 1-2. Carpenter's a lifetime .284 hitter in the major leagues. And out of play again. Got to the big leagues in 2011. First full year was 2012. He hit .294 for St. Louis. But now he started to hit for power. His big league high in homers was 11 back in 2013 until he exploded with a 28 homer year in 2015 and hit 21 homers last year. That one got through the legs of Tyler Flowers. And Martinez will move up 90 feet. So another Cardinal runner standing at third base, leading 9-zip.
Leave him stranded there. Finish this up with a good outing. Something to build on too for your next time out.
So far, the Cardinals have stranded 8 men. Six of them in scoring position. And that one got away from Flowers. Here comes the runner to the plate. He will slide in safely. Martinez scores the 10th St. Louis run. Carpenter walks for the second, make it third time tonight. And it's 10-0.
And wouldn't you know it, one that gets by the catcher here, that will be a pass ball instead, doesn't come back off the brick wall.
So 10 runs, 14 hits for the Cardinals. And here's Jerko. He's 2 for 4 with an RBI double and a run scored in third. And it won't be Jerko. It'll be Greg Garcia pinch hitting. I beg your pardon. Two RBIs for Greg. And that missed outside. 2-0. A little late. 2-1. Sam got the first 2 Cardinal hitters to look at strike 3. Then a Martinez double, a Carpenter walk, a wild pitch, and a pass ball has extended the frame. And it's 3-1.
See the breath of the players. It's wind chills down in the low 40s.
Fly ball toward Kemp in left. He's there. And that'll send us to the 7th inning stretch. St. Louis adds another run. 10-zip your score. Most confidence play of the game, and Atlanta will turn to Julio Teheran tomorrow night in the middle game of our series. Mike Leake will be his opponent for the Cardinals. Braves live at 6:30. First pitch at 7:10.
Yeah, it doesn't get any easier for the Braves hitters. As you can see, Mike Leake off to arguably the best start of his big league career. 3-1, a 135, and look at that walk to strikeout ratio. He's pitching great baseball. Julio would like to get back in the win column after an outing or two that were not to his liking. He's pitching well, but he's been a little off on his command.
Well, I asked the question earlier about Yadier Molina. Look who's playing first base now. Matt Carpenter will be taken out of the first base spot. Eric Fryer stays in the game. Kevin Segrist is on to pitch. And he'll face Dansby Swanson, a pinch hitter, and then the top of the Atlanta order. Braves have 4 hits, no runs, and trail 10-zip in game 1.
11 walks in 10 innings for Segrist. Fastball, curveball change. Fastball in the low 90s.
No balls at a strike. Cardinals have another left-hander in their system that I was hoping we would see here in 2017, and it's a name familiar to Braves fans, Jordan Schaefer. And he was pitching pretty well this spring, but I think Jordan tore the ligament in his elbow, and he's lost for the year. Jordan made the conversion to a relief pitcher last year with the Dodgers organization.
Right.
Pitched in 40 games, 1-1 record with a 3.83 ERA. Made it to Oklahoma City. He's only 30 years old. He might have a shot to make it back to the big leagues in some capacity with the Cardinals, and really wish Jordan well. Three balls and a strike for Dansby. And that one out to second. Easy pickup for Colton Wong, and Molina the play at first. There's out number 1.
With the focus, well, maybe not focus, but the value of versatile players these days, to have a guy like Jordan or Bethancourt who might make it back to the big leagues as a pitcher, know that they could pinch hit or pinch run, saves you another spot on the roster for someone else.
Play the outfield too, I'm sure, in Jordan's case. Chase Peterson bats for the first time tonight. Chase at 268 for the year. Segrist a couple of years ago led the National League in appearances. He had 81 of them. Pitched just 74 2/3 innings, but struck out 90 men. He went 7-1 in relief for the 2015 Cardinals. That year he set a Cardinal record for strikeouts by a left-handed relief pitcher. It was 90, or 8 more than Al Raboski, who's here tonight. Mad Hungarian, a former Brave, and one of the great characters and great Cardinal pitchers in their history. Had 82 strikeouts in 1974 and 1975. 2-2. There's Al. Always good to see him back in Atlanta. Still has the distinctive Fu Manchu mustache.
And they still love him here in Atlanta too.
Jace didn't get it. Segrist strikes him out. 2 away in the Atlanta 7th, and we go back to the top of the order. Two-hit night for Ender, his 10th multi-hit game of the year. Both hits singles, one in the first, one in the 5th. There's a high fly ball hit well toward right. That ball is high off the brick wall and ricochets back toward the infield. Ender around second. Ball dropped in right. He's going to make third with an easy slide. It's a 2-out triple for Ender Inciarte. A 3-hit night for the Braves leadoff man.
That's 8 hits on the homestand. Hanging curveball. Seager's lucky this didn't go out of the ballpark. Ender got his foot down, had a twitch, still stayed back, kept his hands back, and missed a home run by about 2 feet.
Fifth Atlanta hit. See if Brandon Phillips can bring him home. Brandon's 0 for 3 tonight. And a strike. Hope Mike Shannon's doing well tonight. Longtime voice of the Cardinals on radio. Former Cardinal player. I don't know if Mike's doing much traveling these days for the Cardinal broadcast, but still a very popular member of that Cardinal organization. Flip to first in time. 10-0. St. Louis has the lead after 7. Let's check in with Jerome Jurinovich for a Braves minor league update. Hi, Jerome.
Hi, Chip. Although things aren't going the way the Braves would like tonight, help on the way. How about Kolby Allard last night? Matched his career high, Brian Jordan, with 11 strikeouts. No walks over 6. It struck out at least one batter in 5 of the 6 innings he was out there as a blank Birmingham, AA Mississippi, blank Birmingham 3-0.
You know what, the one thing that I can tell you about the scouts for the Atlanta Braves, they really know how to find some really good quality pitchers. And we see right there, Kolby Allard is next in line. 11 strikeouts from the lefty. Wow, he looked good.
How about this? Through 6 of his starts this year, the 19-year-old, 1.36 ERA. 28 strikeouts in 33 innings. 3 of those 6 starts scoreless. Giving up goose eggs on the board there, BJ. You got to love that. And look at what we got coming up behind that.
And he's a lefty. How about that?
Well, you can't have enough of that. All right, let's get you back up now to Chip and Joe.
Okay, Jerome, thank you very much. Another side story in that Kolby Allard game was the man he was facing, Michael Kopech, who's the White Sox #3 prospect and a kid that can throw the ball 102, 103 miles an hour consistently. And Kolby Allard beat him last night, so that's encouraging.
Very encouraging, up and down. We talked to yet another scout tonight who was raving about the Braves minor league pitchers and went on and agreed with other scout sentiments about how loaded the Braves organization is with good pitchers. And he said not just at AA, he said below that too. And we know about Luis Guajara, who pitched another good ball game for the Fire Frogs the other night. You saw that graphic, Ian Anderson and Wentz both pitching real well. They were Anderson the first pick last year. Wentz went in the supplemental round. So it's all backed up in waves, as John Capalella says, so it won't be long.
Won't be long indeed. Jason Mott, former Cardinal, is on to pitch for Atlanta in the 8th inning. By the way, Braves starters tonight in the minor leagues: Aaron Blair at Gwinnett, Matt Withrow at Mississippi, Ricardo Sanchez for the Fire Frogs, and Bryce Wilson for Rome. And we'll let you know how those guys do in our game tomorrow. Lane Adams takes over for Atlanta in center field. Mott will go to work and face Yadier Molina. $34,465 very chilly fans at the ballpark tonight. So it's Mott versus Molina, a pair of men who've worn the Cardinal uniform. A little tip of the cap there from Yadier. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And a strike.
It's another guy I want to give a shout out to. Left-hander Drew Harrington. He got off to a rough start. He had a bad first start of the season. Maybe his second start, I'll correct myself. But in his 4 starts since then, he has an .078 ERA. He's only given up 2 earned runs in his last 23 innings pitched. He won last night for Florida. He's now 3-2 with a .216 overall. Drew Harrington.
Fly ball foul off the bat of Molina. And a fan from Ball Ground, Georgia, ironically enough, will make the play.
Ball Ground, that's great. That's right up there by Hawks Ridge.
One ball, two strikes for the Cardinal catcher slash first baseman, Yadier Molina. And Mott just struck him out. Little extra stare there from Molina. And he's retired to start the 8th inning.
Fastball right there, just blew it by him.
Look at that smile. I always wondered who has the advantage in a situation like that. Molina, who caught him so much and knows what his pitches do, or the pitcher who's going to throw it past a catcher who knows what he knows as well.
I'm not so sure who has the advantage. I just know that the guy grinning is winning 10-0, so he has a chance to grin.
He does have the last laugh,
yes.
Right?
Wainwright with a grin on his face too.
Well, you know, we've talked about what the Cardinals have done, haven't done so far this year. If they win this one, they'll be back at 500. By Cardinal standards, that's not a great start for Mike Matheny's team, but they're sorting some things out. As you said, this is a very different composition for a Cardinal team as opposed to the one we saw last year that hit a ton of home runs. They've got their pitching staff healthy.
Yeah, remember they didn't have Trevor Rosenthal
Right.
beginning either. They got him back.
And maybe the best break of all is many people thought the Cubs were just going to, by default, win the National League Central. That hasn't happened. Nice play at third. Hop and a throw. Long throw. And not in time. Diaz is aboard again. He's had a huge night. 4 hits and a walk, 3 RBIs, and an infield hit here in the 8th. And so, looking at the Central, with the Cubs losing today, if the Cardinals win this game, they'll be a game and a half out of first place.
Hanging in there.
Got to give them a lot of hope.
Whole division ought to feel that way with Cubs not running off and leaving everyone.
Randall Grichuk has 2 of the Cardinals' 15 hits tonight. Out of play foul. Nothing in 2. Mets have taken an 8-7 lead over Miami, and I believe that game tonight is Terry Collins' 1000th as the Mets manager.
That's impressive in New York.
I read somewhere that Davey Johnson has the longest tenure as the skipper of the Mets with 1,012 games. Wouldn't that be something if Terry Collins surpasses him? He's done a great job, and the Mets, with all their injuries, are trying to climb back toward 500 tonight. 1-2 pitch is low and outside. They were down big in that game at home, and now they lead late. Back to the mound. Mott spears it. Phillips handles the throw at second and turns the double play. So Grichuk's double up. Freddie Freeman's coming up in the Atlanta 8th.
As you know, where there's food, there's Kelsey. I am always trying to show you guys what food options you have at this ballpark. So, of course, it's Cinco de Mayo, so here I am at the Taco Factory where you can get some beautiful street tacos made. Check that out. You can get some elote. It's a really cool corn that they'll peel right in front of you with all of these different tacos. And this is the best way to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. I even had Chef Rory specifically make these tacos just for me. Came all the way down here. So, of course, I'm going to set the mic down for this.
I'm so jealous right now. I'm starving.
I know.
We want to thank our friends with Delaware North last night during the rain delay. They were absolutely tremendous and generous. They brought a couple of those tomahawk pork sandwiches to the booth.
Yeah, they were great.
And poor Val Burrell, our homeroom mom, she had the pimento cheese patty melt. Might have been the quietest 15 minutes in our booth's history because she just inhaled that thing.
Well, did you notice how flooded our booth became after that food was delivered? I thought the capacity in here was about 12. No, it's apparently 230.
I mean, nothing was left. But it was delicious. It was much appreciated. And that is one of the great things about the ballpark. The food options are outstanding. As this one's dribbled out towards second base, Freeman's going to be retired by Jonathan Broxton, who's had his share of troubles in relief for the Cardinals, but he gets the first man here in the Atlanta 8th. Don't miss our first post-game concert at SunTrust. It's Saturday, June 10th. Country star Jake Owen performs. And for just $20, get a VIP field pass to enjoy the concert up close on the field. Go to Braves.com/Jake Owen and get your tickets and field passes today. Matt Kemp is 0 for 3. Double play, a strikeout, and a flyout. And he singles right back up the middle. So his hitting streak is extended to 7 games. And he's aboard in front of Nick Markakis.
First pitch swinging from a former teammate, Jonathan Broxton.
Jonathan Broxton is the senior member of the Cardinals bullpen. He's pitched in 683 games now. And I remember when he came up, and he was one of those guys that everybody oohed and awed about because he could throw the ball 98 miles an hour.
Georgia guy.
Jonathan was born in Augusta, went to Burke County High School in Waynesboro. And that's taken low by Nick, even count. Voted by his St. Louis teammates as the recipient of the Darryl Kyle Award last year.
Hey, that's nice.
Oh, Darryl Kyle was some kind of a pitcher. Left us far too soon. The pitch is off the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Broxton's pitch with the Dodgers, the Royals, the Reds, the Brewers, and now with St. Louis. He's had a nice career. 2-1 the count. Right off Nick's thumbs, even count, 2-2. You know, every time we talk about these guys for the Braves and other teams who come from the state of Georgia, you think about the team you could put together with just Georgia players. Man, oh man. The Braves have certainly reaped the rewards of this great state and its great baseball programs. 2-2 your count. Fryer was able to hang on. Markakis is down swinging. Next down on strikes for a second time. And Lane Adams. Braves are going through a rough pitching patch, to say the least, right now.
And everybody was so looking forward to getting home, but when the ERA is over 10 for this homestand, that's tough for you and this hot hitting team to overcome.
Driven down the line a mile, and well, you think, okay, maybe they can turn their fortunes around, and hopefully they will over the weekend. If they don't, you've got a road trip coming up, right? Well, Houston's a great hitter's park, and Toronto's a great hitter's park. Those are two of the stops, with Miami sandwiched in between May 12th, 13th, and 14th. Oh, 2.
Jonathan, when he wants to, can still bump it up there in the upper 90s. He had suffered through some arm trouble too.
Another 0-2 pitch. And Lane looked at that one in the dirt.
.64, 295 for Mr. Broxton. Lance Lynn checked in at 270.
Too bad the Rams left town. 1 ball, 2 strikes. High hopper, left side. Gloved by Garcia. He'll have no play. It's an infield hit. And Adams is a big man. He can hit the ball a long way, and he's got good speed.
Boy, can he run. That ball, as soon as it bounced up in the air, he was off to the races.
He's kind of the Braves version of Jose Martinez, a guy that's spent so much time in the minor leagues. He's relishing every minute he can to wear a major league uniform, and he's racked up some hits, stolen base, scored a run.
I don't know if they had a track team at Red Oak, but he runs like a track guy. Big, high knees and cover some ground.
So good for him. Another hit. 2 on, 2 out for Tyler Flowers. And a strike. Chris Capo had a great trivia question for us. Who has hit the most home runs by a player born in the state of Georgia? And who has the most wins as a major league pitcher for major leaguers born in Georgia? One of them played for the Braves. Little tapper. Broxton's got it. He'll flip to first. We'll give everybody in Braves country a chance to put on their thinking cap or do what we do when we used to have trivia. We'll go to the phone and cheat. 10-0 is our score.
brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Let's go places. And SunTrust.
10-0. St. Louis has the lead. We reach inning number 9. Join us Friday, June 9th for Bartolo Colon Bobblehead Night, brought to you by Coca-Cola. The first 20,000 fans will walk away with their very own bobblehead of Big Bartolo. Go to Braves.com/tickets and get your seats today. Arodys Vizcaíno will get a chance to tune up here in the 9th inning.
13th game for him. Guys at the end of the bullpen not getting much work here the last several days, so good chance to tune up.
So back to our trivia question. Most home runs hit by a player born in the state of Georgia. This player did not play for the Braves.
No,
but he is a Hall of Famer, and he went to Auburn.
Frank Thomas.
Correct. 521 home runs for Frank Thomas. Now this one surprised me. Most wins. Played for the Braves and also went to Auburn.
Tim Hudson.
Correct. 222.
I'll be darned. It's between Tim and McKay McBride. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it was tough. As Tommy Pham leads off inning number 9 for the Cardinals. This guy just called up from AAA when Piscotty went to the disabled list. Doubled on the first pitch he saw. Almost hit it out. Then did hit one out to center in the 3rd. He has struck out and flied out since. So a big lift for Tommy Pham for a Cardinal team that frankly limped into town. Might have been rusty. 3 rainouts on their homestand. And they have come to town. No batting practice, no fielding practice, and no problem with 10 runs and 15 hits. And now Pham is grazed by a pitch and he's at first base.
Jersey.
So here's Fryer. He took strike 3 in the 7th. A base hit up the middle. Now Adams bobbles the ball, and Pham will move from 2nd to 3rd. A couple of outfield misplays for the Braves tonight. So they're at 1st and 3rd. And back to the top, and Colton Wong. Steven Strasburg beat Philly 4-2, as Jerome reported earlier. He hit a home run. Reds 10-2 over the Giants. Milwaukee and the Pirates no score in the 4th. That's miraculous. They're playing in Pittsburgh, by the way. All kinds of bad forecasts for rain in Pittsburgh all weekend long. And the fans in St. Louis know all about that. Not only are those rainouts causing havoc for the Cardinals, fans in suburban West County St. Louis in low-lying areas are actually underwater from floodwaters from the Merrimack River north of town in St. Charles. So we wish all the fans in Cardinal country watching our broadcast tonight well, and hope that Mother Nature will help you out soon. Downstairs for Wong, 2 balls, no strikes.
Wonder if it's part of the same system that moved across from Missouri, across Illinois, and maybe headed toward Pittsburgh. Hey, while we have a second, congratulations to Peyton Glavin and the Blessed Trinity baseball team. They won today and advanced in the Georgia State baseball playoffs. Tom's son, part of that team and pitching great baseball for him.
Right at the tarp. Jace Peterson the catch and nearly tumbled over backwards as he got to the padding. Nice play. One man out.
Peyton also headed to Auburn. Unless he gets drafted and signed.
Yeah, it's
nice
a busy,
play by Jace.
Busy week for the Glavin family. Mason's in the lacrosse tournament for high school. Peyton's got the baseball stuff going.
Got 2 graduations.
So congrats to the entire Glavin family. As Jose Martinez bats. First and third, one out. Low and outside for the Cardinal right fielder. Matt Adams has grabbed a bat. He would hit for Broxton if the inning continues. It is a leaner and meaner Matt Adams, by the way. Pilates and yoga in the offseason. He has lost a ton of weight. He is a shadow of his former self. Still a very dangerous hitter. Pitch.
I'm with him on that Pilates stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm a Pilates man.
Really? Didn't know that.
Good for you. Good for your core, good for your back. Helps you hit long homers.
1 ball, 1 strike. Out away at the plate. Do you get a set of wings or something on your uniform for the Pilates program?
Oh, I get it. 1 and 2 the count.
How? Cold night, that won't feel good.
No.
It's the old time Cardinal socks they're wearing. One ball, 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss, 2 away. These are such iconic franchises. Their uniforms, quite obviously, are instantly recognizable. The tomahawk for the Braves. Cardinals with those ringed stockings. And, of course, the birds on the golden bat on the Cardinal uniform. It's a beaut. Here's Adams. Adams has hit safely in 5 of his last 7 plate appearances. But with the commitment of the Cardinals to have Matt Carpenter play first, he's really a man without a position right now.
Except pinch hitter. And this team is a pinch hitting group. Have been outstanding. They're hitting over 400 as a group.
No balls, 1 strike. Shift on for Adams. And a little low. 7 career pinch hit homers are second in St. Louis history. Eight is their all-time record. He might try to tie it up right here. Cardinals up 10-zip. And that caught the outside corner. Adams not sure about that.
You know, they used to call him Mount Adams because he was so big, but now he might just be referred to as the Hill in St. Louis.
Yes.
Find some good food on the hill, can't you?
Oh boy. We'll find out in August. 1-2 pitch. Canetto's is calling, perhaps. Adams is 28. Cardinals got him in the 23rd round, the 699th player. He graduated from Phillipsburg, Osceola, Pennsylvania High School. Then went to Slippery Rock. And he just struck out. And that will take care of the Cardinals. Braves are coming up in the 9th inning. down 10.
Coming up after the show, I know you diehard Braves fans are sticking around for a Braves Live postgame show presented by Xfinity for the astute observation of this man who says it wasn't either one of the home runs by the Cardinals that made the difference tonight, but a sac bunt. He will explain it a little bit later on.
That's my pick to click. And Mr. Molina.
And he's giving me grief because I've been wearing a winter coat while Kelsey Wingert was enjoying tacos earlier in the show, Chip and Joe. I've been out here freezing my nachos off since the third inning. Let's get back to you.
Well, bless your heart, buddy. Hang in there. Cold night in Atlanta. 10-0 St. Louis. Miguel Sokolovic is going to come on and pitch the ninth inning. And I agree with what Brian and Jerome just said. It may seem like an innocent play, but that sacrifice bunt by Molina, I think, not only was effective in helping him score 2 more runs, but it may have been a message to the rest of that Cardinal team that, hey, we're going to play the game the right way tonight. And top to bottom, they've certainly done it.
Absolutely, they have. Here's another guy out of their bullpen that scuffled with an 8 ERA. 4.21 average by left-handers. A lot of change-ups from this guy. But I'm with you guys on that sacrifice bunt because the young kid Diaz right after that hit a double and drove in both those runs.
Dansby Swanson leads off and swings and misses. You know, fans might say, well, they're paying Molina a lot of money to hit the ball out of the ballpark and drive in runs. And yes, they are. But you know what? The bottom line, they're paying him to win. And that was a winning baseball play that I don't think anybody in the ballpark expected. And it was a big part of that St. Louis third when they blew it open against Mike Fultonevich.
Some of the sabermetrics people would tell you that there's no advantage to sacrifice bunting anymore. I'm not sure why, but that was a good example of why it is a good play on many levels.
When I was doing the Cubs, and I think I've told this story before, as this one's popped out of play. Cubs and Cardinals were both good one year at Wrigley Field, and the Cardinals came to town and they had to win 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, and they did. And the key play in that series was a sacrifice bunt by Scott Rowland that led to a 5-run inning. It was the first and only sacrifice bunt Rowland had in his big league career up until that point. It was a winning play. The Cardinals won the game, went to the playoffs, and it sank the Cubs. But that's the Cardinal way. That's
do what you got, do what you're supposed to do, and what the game calls for.
Exactly right. 2-2 for Dansby against Sokolovic, who's 30 years old, out of Caracas, Venezuela. And he was late on the fastball and is down on strikes. 0 for 4 night for Dansby with a couple of strikeouts. And Sokolovic off to a solid start in the ninth. Here's Jace. He struck out his first time. Took Sokolovich a while to find a home. He's pitched for 6 different big league organizations: Red Sox, White Sox, Orioles, Cubs, Mets, and Cardinals. "15 games with the big league team last year, 45 at Memphis. In 2015, he went 4-1 with a 1.82 ERA in 26 games. Popped up left side. Grichuk and Garcia. It's Grichuk near the line. He's got it. And the Braves are down to their last out. Kurt Suzuki will be the final hope. Last 3 official games, Braves have given up 33 runs and 45 hits.
Owie.
4 games, it's 42 and 53. So that's got to change in a big hurry. That's not going to work. No balls, 2 strikes for Kurt Suzuki. Sokolovich trying to finish it off with the next pitch. He'll need another.
It's been a cold night to sit on the bench for 8.5 innings, come off and be loose enough to swing, but I'm sure Kurt has been back under the behind the dugout and in the tunnel where the batting cages are, getting some swings in to stay warm and loose. One of the luxuries of a modern ballpark.
Strike 3 called. Match ball game. The Cardinals blister the Braves in game 1 by a final score of 10-0. Big nights tonight for Matt Carpenter, for Ledmus Diaz, and for Lance Lynn, who went 6 innings of shutout ball with 6 strikeouts. He's the winner now, 4-1. Mike Foltynewicz now 0-4. And Joe, the Braves have to find a way to shut down these offenses in game 2 tomorrow night behind Julio Teheran.
It doesn't matter how many base runners you have or how many you leave on base if you're constantly having to dig out of deep holes, and that's what's been happening.
So it's St. Louis 10, Atlanta nothing. The Cardinals now 14-14. The Braves fall to 11-16. We'll see what Julio Teheran and Mike Leake have in store for us tomorrow night. We'll recap tonight's game and preview tomorrow's on Braves Live, presented by Xfinity, next.